friends, welcome back to the Enchanted Stay, where fantasy books, stray kids and honest reviews live side by side. Today we're diving into Valley of Dry Bones by J.F. Penn. This is book 10 in the ARKANE series. If you're new to the series, it follows Dr. Morgan Sierra and Jake Timber, two ARKANE agents who investigate supernatural threats tied to religious artifacts, ancient history and global conspiracies. And if you enjoy Dan Brown-style thrillers with a darker, more supernatural edge, this series is definitely one to check out. So grab your sword and light stick and let's get into it. This book kicks off with a mysterious discovery in the Mexican desert that sets off a dangerous chain of events. Morgan and Jake are pulled into an investigation involving ancient rituals, secret brotherhoods, and a conspiracy that could potentially bring something long dead back to life. As they follow the clues, the stakes escalate quickly into a high-risk, global-level threat with a ticking clock. Characters: Morgan Sierra. Morgan continues to be a strong, intelligent protagonist. An Oxford psychologist with a background in religion and a past shaped by loss and military experience. She is also analytical but also emotionally layered. Jake Timber. Jake remains the steady, grounded counterpart to Morgan. His military background and personal loss continue to shape his actions and his loyalty. Naomi Locasto. A really interesting addition in this book. She's a linguist rather than a field agent, which brings a different dynamic to the team. I enjoyed seeing her perspective and skill set play a role in the story. Louis Ray. Probably one of the most compelling characters in this book. He's wealthy, powerful, and morally grey. And while I didn't agree with his methods, I could absolutely understand his motivations. That kind of complexity always makes a story more engaging. And overall, the secondary characters in this book felt especially strong and well developed. Since this is a modern-day thriller, world-building isn't about creating a new world, but rather about making our world feel vivid and immersive. And J.F. Penn does this really well. The locations are richly described, and the historical and cultural details add depth without slowing the story. One thing I especially loved in this installment was the shift in locations. We explore more settings outside of Europe and North America, which made the story feel fresh and expanded the scope of the series. What I liked and didn't. This book is fast-paced and highly engaging. I actually devoured it in less than a day. The suspense was one of the strongest elements. There's a constant sense of danger and urgency, especially with the ticking clock aspect. I also really enjoyed the historical and religious details. Even when the pacing slowed slightly, I didn't mind because I found the information genuinely interesting. The themes, such as resurrection, dark rituals, secret brotherhoods, added a darker edge that worked really well for this story. And again, the characters, especially the secondary ones, really stood out here. If I had to point out one thing, it's that this book leans a little bit more toward telling rather than showing in certain places. But it didn't really take me out of the story, but it's something that I noticed anyway. Also, like some of the previous books, the pacing occasionally slows down due to the heavier informational sections. Though for me personally, that was not a major issue, because I actually enjoyed that aspect. Overall, I gave Valley of Dry Bones 4 out of 5 stars. It's a strong installment in the ARKANE series, fast-paced, suspenseful, and filled with fascinating historical and supernatural elements. The cover is solid. It fits the genre and the tone of the book, but it's not particularly eye-catching or stand out compared to others in the genre. Who I think this book is for: fans of Dan Brown-style thrillers, readers who enjoy religious and historical mysteries, people who like supernatural elements mixed with real-world settings, and thriller readers who want high stakes and global conspiracies. And especially if you're already invested in the ARKANE series, this is definitely worth continuing. Would I reread this book? Yes, absolutely. And I'm already continuing with the rest of the series. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of the ARKANE books and which one is your favorite. And if you enjoy indie book reviews, fantasy, especially indie fantasy, with a little Stray Kids coded chaos on the side, don't forget to like and subscribe. I post new fantasy content every week. Until next time, stay chaotic, stay magical, stay.